Hello guys, it's Matsimus. Thank you for joining me today. It is a beautiful southern Alberta summer right now, evening, and it's just beautiful to go for a walk, and me and Tank decided to go for a little stroll. So it's not really a marching with Matsimus as so much a walking with Matsimus, but you still get to hang out with me for a little bit here. So today's video is just gonna be a little chat about basic training. Now I get this question asked from a lot of people. What's basic training like? You know, is it stressful? What do I need to do? What do I need to prepare for? There's so many videos out there telling you of what you need to do, what you need to bring. This is what it's going to be like. This is how it should be. This is what you're going to get treated like. And, you know, that's great. You know, it's fantastic. But I'm just going to put it pretty straight from my own personal aspect of how my basic training went. I loved my basic. Let me just start off with that. If you are new to my channel, welcome, first of all, and secondly, I did serve in the British Army, joined at 16 years old, very happy about that, not promoting it, as a couple of my videos in the past I discussed about it, but very proud to join at a young age, and I think it's one of the best decisions of my entire life. I went to Army Foundation College Harrogate, which was a college basically set up for 16-year-olds joining the British Army, and it was great. Now, Army Foundation College Harrogate, when I was joining, was a year-long course. It's classed as a course, I guess, training. And you are placed into very large companies. I was in Peninsula Company. I represent Peninsula, if any of you from Peninsula are watching. And it's a year-long basic training. It continues for the entire year. It's not sort of a break, pause kind of thing. You get a couple of sort of vacation leave, very minor leave vacation periods. And it was just probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. It formed me as the person I am today. I think if I hadn't have gone to basic training in Harrogate at 16 and maybe joined a little later at 18, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it would have hurt. It wouldn't have been a bad thing, but I think it was a smart move to join at that age. Anyway, I'm digressing. So basic training for me was fantastic. A couple of things that I loved about basic training was the fact that you're always on the go. There's always something happening, and transitioning into a civilian life now, I find that it's very difficult to find people that want to have that same mentality, and I won't lie myself, I've kind of dropped the ball a little bit and not become as proactive as I used to be. You know, I kind of get a little lazy here and there, but the basic training, you really just don't have that ability, and you should be, notice how I'm saying you should be proactive at all times. Everybody asks me, you know, Matsimus, what's the number one thing I should think about and do when I'm at basic training? Go that extra mile, be proactive. There's always something you can do, whether it's, you know, polish your boots a little more, iron your kit a bit more, go do some fitness, go for a run, do some press-ups in your bedroom, like get sleep, take the rest when you can. And there's always something that's important for your training that you can be doing. It was very rare during my entire time in basic training, which was 48 weeks, you know, entire year, 52 weeks, sorry, 48 was never mind. There's always something you can do to better yourself at basic, and that's just how I kind of looked at it, and I loved it. I loved the fact I was always on the go, always something was going on. And I think that's something that I should definitely pass on to the next generation of soldiers is don't go to basic thinking, I'm going to do the minimum, I'm going to do, you know, as much as I can to get by and that's me. No, go the extra further bit you can, you know, do that extra PT. Like Tank right now is breathing out his ass because he's so freaking tired. We've gone for quite a long walk today, guys. I'm at the end of the end of the walk, as you can see. It's pretty nearly nighttime. But go that extra mile, go that little extra further. And just honestly, it was fantastic having that ability to just continue practicing new things and, you know, focus on my fitness or focus on my shooting skills and always try and better myself. And that was, I think, something that I've taken forever in life now from basic, is always doing something extra, you know. Concurrent activity is the words that they say at basic. You could be doing concurrent activities, like, you know, if you're cleaning your rifle, you could be, if you finish cleaning your rifle, why don't you go and get some fresh oil for the boys that are oiling up their rifles, or go get some more flannelette, or whatever else the fucking bullshit they tell you. You know, there's always something you can be doing in the background, and that's one key thing I will say. The next thing that I've definitely taken from basic is don't be a bully. Like, seriously, there's people at basic that I came across that were just totally immoral, bad people, should not have been in the armed forces in any way, shape or form, but they did. They made it through. I'm not entirely sure why, but they did. And don't be that person. You are supposed to be a member of your country's armed forces. You are supposed to represent at the highest level, like a police officer or a fireman or whatever else. When you serve the public sector, you should be an example to set, not just to the public, to your peers, but to yourself. And if you're going to be a little punk ass and pick on the weaker ones and, you know, be a little idiot to each other, you should not be in that environment. And I wouldn't want you in my section, platoon, fire team, warrior, whatever it may be. I wouldn't want you there. And if I found that, you know, I did have bullies in my platoon or sections, I bring it to them. I can't stand bullies. And don't be that person in basic that just, you know, ignores it. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I myself let it go and I ignored it. I let it fly. You know, there was a number of instances where I could have like stepped up to the plate and said, that's wrong. And that's something I think those of you who are going into basic, or have even already been to basic and maybe have just come out of it and going into the next trade part of your career, it's just something to think about. You know, be the bigger person, be the better person than those who are, you know, creating a bad integrity in the squad, platoon, whatever it may be. Just be bigger and better than it. It's seriously, it's a huge piece of advice that I would say from me. Another thing I think I took from basic for sure is fitness. Obviously, you know, fitness is integral to when you're joining any armed force. Obviously with the army it's a little bit more integral to what you do on your day-to-day. And fitness is something that you should be doing regardless whether you're going through basic training or not. So when you're at basic, focus hard on your training, you know, really do. And for me, that was just something that filled the time when I was bored. I didn't play video games. I didn't go, you know, I mean, I know I'm a gamer now, but when I was in the army, I very rarely played video games. I was training or, you know, partying. But at basic training, you know, at 16 years old, it's a little difficult to go partying, but I would definitely say that you should, for sure, focus on fitness. Because it follows you throughout your career. It's not just, you know, it's not just the basic training part that gets you the high scores and, you know, the good rep with your platoon. It's going to follow you. You're going to keep that mentality, that mindset when you go into, you know, the next part of your career. So just something to think about. Another thing for me at basic that I really enjoyed is obviously the camaraderie and the teamwork. I must admit, during my entire army career, I never really found any other group or, I guess, team ethos that matched the same as my basic training did. And I think that's primarily because you all know you're in the same boat. You've got to get through basic, there's no choice. Whereas, you know, at your unit or your battalion, you can kind of skip out or do whatever that some people decide to do. But just having that group of people who you know have to go through the exact same thing as you, the same hardships, the same difficulties, you don't find that very often in most places around the world. So, in any job. So, I enjoyed it. I mean, having those sort of friends, brothers, and, you know, I did a video recently of someone who said, you know, you don't have brothers for life and the army isn't for life, but that is bullshit. Sorry folks, I can't cut out there. There was another dog coming with that bike behind me, so I had to kind of keep an eye on the mutt face, otherwise sometimes he gets a little rowdy. He's a pretty good dog, but now and then he does some crazy things. So yeah, fitness, what was I saying? Teamwork, you know, teamwork is huge. I learned so much about being in a good team and also leadership. But let's get away from the cliche stuff and all the bullshit that we tend to hear all the time. Let's talk about a bit of the bad stuff in basic. I already talked about bullying. Another big part of basic that may get most of you is the monotony. There's a lot of stuff you're going to do over and over and over again. And I myself, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, I was a cadet when I was younger. A lot of people for some reason have this huge hatred for cadets, and I can't quite understand why. But when I was younger, I kind of already had a bit of a head start with all the simplicities of the army life. You know, cadets kind of gives you a bit of a heads up. But when you go into basic, especially already having that simplistic army milskip? The fucking word is that? Milskip. Military skills, you're kind of going to get really bored really quickly with the stuff you kind of already know. And that's just, it is what it is. When you're going into the army and you were in cadet force, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, don't make a freaking image for yourself. No one cares that you're a cadet. No one cares. Literally, shut your mouth, don't say a word, get on with it as if you're just a standard civilian from any other world. They'll know pretty quickly that you're in some sort of cadet force as soon as you start doing some of the skills and drills that some of the fresh bees don't know. So don't start shouting it around and, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Just keep your mouth shut and just do what you're told. And that's the way it is. But it will get rather boring. You know, it'll get to the point where you're just like, what is going on? This is just horrible. Going over the same thing. But don't complain. Just get on with it. You know, no matter how long your basic training is, it's something you have to endure to get to your unit. And it's a part and parcel, but it does suck. You know, having to do the same stuff over and over again, the same routine, the same monotony, timings, they drain you. Physically and mentally, they drain you. So just something to be aware of. A good thing about basic, for me personally, at 16 years old, I was making good money and saving it. You don't have anything to spend it on. You know, you really don't. If you might have commitments outside of the army world or the military world, but you know, that's part and parcel. But other than that, in terms of bills and stuff, if you've got family or something outside of the world, then there's not much to spend it on, apart from, like, you know, junk food, and, you know, if you're a smoker or, you know, stuff like that. Everything else, I tended to just save. I saved up, and then when I got to my units or my phase 2 training, that's when the party started to begin, and all this excess money I had was just going straight to alcohol and craziness. But don't do that. Don't do that. Save it up. Be smart. Get yourself a house, get yourself a car, whatever you want to do. But you will save a bit of money. It's a good thing. And you will see it going into your account, especially when you're young and join the army. Those of you who are a little older going into the army, you'll probably have already had jobs. But don't get cocky with it, though. You know, don't think, oh, I've got loads of money, I'll go buy loads of crap. Because that was one thing I found, especially at battalion. These guys would go buy these huge cars, and then 2 years down the line, when they get posted to another unit back home in England from Germany, they wouldn't have all the benefits that you get from Germany, and they can't afford them, and they'd have to return them. So just think about it a little bit. Another thing about basic is the missing of home. Now, for me, I've never ever missed home. It's not something that I've ever really cared about, because it's just, I've been accepting of it since I was in cadets, and you know, my own family situations. It's just the way it is. I never really needed the miss for home. But when you see others that are kind of talking about it and complaining about it and always reminding you about home, then it starts to get like, oh, actually this kind of sucks. You know, if you have like girlfriends or whatever and stuff like that, that can kind of drain you a little bit. But don't let it get you down. Like, seriously, it's not worth it. You decided to join the military or the army, get on with it. You know, the more you bitch and complain about it, the worse it's going to get. You know, homesick is no excuse to any senior. They're not going to care. They do not care in the world that you're having a bad day because you miss home. If anything, they're just going to tear you apart even more. So again, keep your mouth shut and just get on with it. So yeah, that's kind of my overall experience of basic training. You know, Harrogate was an experience and a half, just for the fact that you did have an entire year of basic, and I felt that maybe that gave me a little bit more of a solid core of key military skills, you know, shooting and fitness and, you know, skill arms and map and compass, first aid, whatever else it may be, whereas other, you know, British Army basic training is quite short. But at the end of the day, I was quite immature back then too, 16 years old. You know, I thought I knew the world, and clearly I didn't, especially coming into the civilian world now. There's so much more I need to learn and, you know, adjust to. But don't let it get you. Be confident, be assertive, stick to your guns. You know, if you made a decision, especially if you're joining the army, go with it. Let's just try it. Even if basic's really tough for you, try and make it to the very end. I mean, you're going to have to in some regard anyway, because they're not going to let you leave, I think, with the British Army. I think it was something like 3 weeks or something like that you had to hold out for, but just stay as long as you can, fight it through, and you never know, you might get a change of heart, and all of a sudden you'll love it. So just don't let it get you down. I'm going to show you something real quick. I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah, I'll do this. So I don't know if you guys can see this, the way I'm showing the camera with the tankopotamus in the stream here, but you can see the grass has been cut very short on each side here. That's actually for rattlesnakes. We have a massive rattlesnake problem here. As you can see, the grass on the edge here is quite long, and then it gets short here to the footpath. We have a serious rattlesnake problem around these parts, and it gets pretty bad. In fact, a lot of the rattlesnakes come up from the coulee out here. They slide up the top of the hill, they come across and they head towards the houses. that you see here, and there's actually like a snake wrangler dude who comes out and picks them all up. It's pretty funny, but you know, rattlesnakes, everybody gets really fearful of them, but they're not that bad. You know, you can kind of, most of them you see like a stick that's moving, you're like, that's probably a rattlesnake, I won't go near it. And this helps, you know, this kind of cutting of the grass helps a lot. Anyway guys, it's getting dark now and Tank's getting rather tired and I'm nearly back home, so I think I'm going to call it quits for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Maybe take on a little bit what I said today, but obviously it's pure hearsay and just my opinion. I don't want you to go away from this and think, oh, another bullshit basic training video that I have no interest in listening to because it's just the same old bullshit. It may be, but that's just the kind of key things that I picked up from basic that hopefully you can take a little bit away from going into your training if you choose to do so. Anyway, guys, I would really appreciate if you could leave me a comment and a like because you want to support my channel. Would love it if you go check out my Patreon account. And if you want to add me on Facebook, feel free to do that too. Tank, say goodbye. That's goodbye in Tank terms. And thanks again for joining me. All the best and bye-bye.